Harry's cousin, Les Paulworth, used to come out from Milwaukee, and we would horse around, monkey around all over. In the creek, we built a dam across the creek and so on and so forth. We had a lot of fun when we were kids, and nobody got hurt either. So, right across the bridge from Harry's house, there was a dump where Kissels used to dump their coarse sand and empty paint pails and so forth. They got pails and, or they got paint and lacquer paint in 5-gallon cans with a screw cover on top. So one day we were horsing around, found one of those cans. Of course, we had to try something. So we took some of this carbide, or quite a bit of it, and put it in there, and poured quite a bit of water in it, and had a hole in the bottom with a nail, and we got some dynamite fuse from the hardware store. You could buy that kind of stuff those days because farmers use it to blast out stumps and so forth. Anyways, we put a length of dynamite fuse in that hole, in that nail hole. Then we lit the fuse. We set the can in the middle of the road, and we lit the fuse, and then we went and hid behind the iron railings on the bridge so that none of the stuff would fly at us. And you should have heard that bang. I think they heard it all over town. That was really something. Speaking of that carbide, I had a carbide lamp for on my bicycle. We used to go riding around in the dark, 2 or 3 of us kids. Other kids would use flashlights. Of course, there weren't many cars on the road or anything them days anyhow. So, but I had a gas light for mine. It had 2 tanks in it, small tanks. The top tank had a water in it, and the bottom tank you would put a piece of this carbide in. Then you would adjust a thing for the water just to drip on this carbide. And as this water dripped on the carbide, it would make a gas. And then you held a match. There was you could open up the front of the light, and there was like a little gas burner in there with a Y-shaped gas burner in there. And you'd light that, and as long as you left the water keep dripping down on this carbide, it kept making gas, and it had a bright, very, very bright light. In fact, I used to try to use it for catching night crawlers, and it was so bright that the night crawlers from the heat would go back in the hole. I couldn't use it for that anymore. My mother was a very good cook, but the one dish that I loved the most, and I think if I had the recipe for it, I think it would be worth $1 million today. You see, in Germany, their staple food was potatoes. You call them Irish potatoes, but you didn't call them that in Germany, of course. But anyways, their staple food was potatoes. And they fixed them in many, 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 many different ways. But the one that I loved the best was when she made potato dumplings. Oh, I wish I had the recipe for that. So many times I wish that. She had a special little machine that Dad brought over from Germany. And it had drum inside of it with a handle on like a food chopper. But it had a drum, a rough drum inside. And you take the raw potatoes and you put them in the top, and there was a wooden plunger you pushed down on, and you ground up those potatoes. Then you drained off most of the water from the potatoes. And then Mother would fry up some, dice up some bread, almost like croutons, and fry them up a little bit so they were nice and crispy. And then she would, I don't know what else she put in. She must have put flour or something into it too. And she made potato dumplings with those like croutons in them. And oh, she made them about the size of a large orange. And when you broke those open, they were just so fluffy and beautiful inside. Then she would take a quarter of a pound, in other words, a stick of butter, and some onions. She put it in a frying pan and saute those onions in this butter till they were just turning yellow. And that we used for gravy. We broke apart the potato dumplings and poured this butter and onions over the top. And that was, to me, the most delicious dish I ever tasted in my life. I certainly wish I